Hello, I'm Tom Gamble, and I minister at the Fairland Christian Church, Niles, Michigan. And we are on day 7 of 10 of our journey through the life of Joseph as told in the book of Genesis. Now, yesterday, when we left off, Joseph's brothers were dining in his house. So here's all of the brothers, and here is Joseph himself, again wearing that coat of many colors we talk about, and then here he's got the crown on his head. But Joseph's brothers do not realize that it's really Joseph that they're eating with. They think he's just the Lord of the land of Egypt. Well, today we look at chapters 44 and 45. And unbeknownst to Joseph's 11 brothers, before they depart to head home, Joseph instructs his steward to put each of the brothers' money back in their sacks, just as he had done before. But this time he also gives instructions to have his silver cup put in Benjamin's sack with the intent of accusing Benjamin of theft. Now, I don't have the silver cup with me, but I do happen to have this Chicago Bears mug, which I think that's a fitting cup for someone of such high stature as Joseph was in the land of Egypt. So we'll put that right over there. Now, the brothers then began their journey home. Not long after, Joseph sends his steward after his brothers to accuse them of stealing. The brother found with the cup would become a servant. The rest would be able to return home. After every man opened his sack, Benjamin was found with the cup, and the brothers tore their clothes, which is an outward sign of the inner grief and anguish that they were feeling. Well, upon returning to Joseph's house, Joseph accused them of theft, stating that the one who had the cup would have to remain and be his servant, while the rest of the brothers could return home to their father. But Judah, and here he is again, the Bible tells us that he speaks up, and he goes over and he talks to his brother Joseph. He pleads with him that he could take Benjamin's place as the servant. Notice some of Judah's words, starting at verse number 30 in chapter number 44. We read this, starting at verse 30. It says, "Now therefore, as soon as I come to your father, to your servant my father, and the boy, being Benjamin, is not with us, then, as his life is bound up in the boy's life, as soon as he sees that the boy is not with us, he will die. And your servants will bring down the gray hairs of your servant our father with sorrow to Sheol. For your servant became a pledge of safety for the boy to my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father all my life. Now therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the boy as a servant to my Lord, and let the boy go back with his brothers. For how can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? I fear to see the evil that would find my father." Friends, we see here a change in Judah. Here he has a selfless attitude compared to his words in chapter 37 when he convinced his brothers to sell Joseph into slavery. Remember these words of his in chapter 37, verses 26 and 27. "Then Judah said to his brothers, what profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him. For he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers listened to him. We see a positive change in Judah. People can change for the better. So don't lose hope. Keep praying. Upon hearing Judah's words, chapter 45 opens with Joseph unable to control his emotions, finally letting his brothers know that he is their brother Joseph. Talk about an interesting family reunion. Joseph informs them that the famine will last another 5 years and that they must return home and bring their father Jacob and their families back to live in Egypt so they will be provided for and will not come to poverty. So the brothers returned home and told their father. Now, it'd be too difficult to take all 10 of the brothers back, so I'm going to take Jacob, father, back over to where they are. And I'm going to return the cup back over here to where Joseph still is in Egypt. So the brothers returned home and they told their father about Joseph. And Jacob, convinced that his son Joseph is really alive, said these words as chapter 45 comes to an end. Chapter 45, verse number 28, we read Jacob saying this. He says, "It is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." As we see again, there are multiple lessons that we can be drawn from for everyday life from this reading. But it's difficult to ignore Joseph's words in chapter number 45, verses 4 through 8. I'm going to read those, chapter 45, verses 4 through 8. This is what we find. "So Joseph said to his brothers," and this is just as he reveals who he is to them, "Come near to me, please." And they came near. And he said, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now, do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are yet 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you who sent me here, but God." Friends, we never know how God is working behind the scenes. We might not understand the situations of life, which I'm sure Joseph did not when his brothers sold him into slavery and when he spent 2+ years in the prison for doing nothing wrong. But God was working. Remember the words of Romans 8:28. The Bible tells us this. Paul writes these words, Romans 8:28. "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose." If you are a disciple of Jesus, keep and know those words. Keep them in your mind, know them in your heart. Friends, for prayer today, I would suggest that you ask God to help you remember that when there are struggles that come on you in life and you can't see why, put your lives in the hand of your Lord and trust the words that are found in Romans 8:28. Also, I would ask you to be praying for students across our country, those in elementary school, middle school, high school, and college, as they are beginning to finish up their school year, doing those assignments that they're having to do maybe on the computer or packets of homework. Pray the Lord to help them to work diligently as they finish off the year. Tomorrow, you can prepare. We're going to read chapters 46 and 47 of Genesis. We'll see you tomorrow.